This is Extra Paycheck Podcast, episode number 45.
You're listening to Extra Paycheck Podcast, where you will learn how to build and grow your own successful online business. Now, here's your host, Alex Soul.
Welcome to yet another episode of Extra Paycheck Podcast. This is episode number 45, and this week's special guest is Scott Keys. Scott runs flyforfreeguide.com, and he basically helps people fly all over the world for a lot cheaper than you would ever imagine possible. Enjoy today's episode. Hi, Scott, and welcome to the Extra Paycheck Podcast.
Thanks so much for having me.
Scott, please tell us a little bit more about yourself and what is that you do for a living and as a business.
Sure. So I work as a freelancer living in Fort Collins, Colorado. And part of my freelance income comes from journalism, which I have a background in, writing articles covering, politics and homelessness and stuff like that. But then the other half of my business is actually doing entrepreneurial work in the travel sphere. So that's been a couple different things. I have, rewinding about 5 years, I started to get really interested in frequent flyer miles and as a way to basically allow people like myself who were never going to be rich to still be able to travel. And so I realized from the outset that there wasn't really many resources for people who wanted to use and amass frequent flyer miles, but didn't quite know where to start. It's kind of a nebulous, just a very confusing sphere. People don't know, what is a frequent flyer mile? Can you transfer them between programs? How much does it cost to use them? How do you generate them? On down the line, it's all very confusing. So I ended up not only learning a lot of this stuff, but then trying to transforming it into a short ebook called How to Fly for Free. And How to Fly for Free was all about the strategies that I use to generate hundreds of thousands of frequent flyer miles every year, and then how to use those frequent flyer miles to make sure I'm getting the best value out of them. So that was an ebook that I wrote, I believe published in 2012, and ended up doing quite well. I got some lucky boosts just from a little bit of media coverage and whatnot, but it was relatively minor income. I ended up following that up earlier this year in March with a book called How to Find Cheap Flights, which was not about frequent flyer miles, but just about, if you want to take a flight that you're going to pay for, say you want to fly from New York to Denver, the book lays out all the techniques and all the strategies that are used to make sure that you're getting the very best price for that flight than you than you might see otherwise just by searching on Orbitz or Expedia or wherever. What ended up happening, so I put that out earlier this year. And it went well. It was fine. Again, I was basically making beer money, happy hour money off the books, which is great because once it was a form of passive income. Once I put them out, then I didn't have to do anything extra to be bringing in this regular income. But it was a fairly insubstantial amount. We're talking, $50 a month or so. Now, where I got my lucky break was about a month after I put this second book out. So back in April, my girlfriend and I decided we were going to travel the world for 2 months. It just worked out well for both of our schedules. We could take the time. And so using the strategies that I'd written about in How to Fly for Free, we ended up taking this 13 country, 21,000 miles, 20 different flight trip, and it was all for free. And so, I just posted about it on Facebook to my friends, to all the doubters and haters out there, you can actually fly for free, and here's all the places I'm going, just showing a nice little map and stuff of where we're planning on going, everywhere from Mexico to Nicaragua, Trinidad, St. Lucia, Grenada, Czech Republic, Greece, Ukraine, Macedonia, Lithuania, Finland, and back to the U.S. So,
Wow.
a really a fun, expansive 2-month trip, real whirlwind tour. But how I lucked out, though, was a friend of mine who knows a writer at Business Insider caught wind of it on Facebook and said, "Oh, my friend might be interested in writing a story on this." And so I talked to the reporter, and was interviewed by her, and she ended up putting out an article, about a week later that went super viral. How this guy is taking a 13 country trip all for free. And so all of a sudden, the book sales, which were maybe 1 or 2 a day being sold, all of a sudden exploded to like hundreds, thousands being sold, all just because of this article that went super viral. So that was really great. Obviously, like this is just a ton of, just this massive windfall.
It's a lot of beer money.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But what, and to bring, this backstory to a close, what ended up happening was I had been keeping an email list for my friends to alert them when there's a really good flight deal out there. So, because a couple of years ago, or before that, I had gotten a flight from New York City to Milan for $65 each way. So, when I got back, my friends were like, "Man, you have to let me know next time that happens." So I just created an email list to be able to tell all my friends at once. And so this list was mentioned in the article, which then ended up going from having, 100, 150 subscribers to all of a sudden having thousands, which was, very flattering. But at the same time, it went from being something that I could do for free on MailChimp to something that I had to pay for, to pay MailChimp in order to be able to send emails to this large list. And so then after that, I started thinking about how to monetize this list, and ended up bringing it to where it is today, where it's a freemium model that anybody can stay on the free list and get 1/3 of all the subscription alerts, or you can be a premium member, a paid member, when paid $2 a month is what it's at right now. And if you pay $2 a month, then you're going to get all the cheap flight alerts rather than just 1/3. And so that's where I'm at today. I run this email list in addition to having these books generating passive income, and then my side career in journalism.
Mm-hmm. It's really, really cool story, man. And as I've mentioned before we started recording the podcast, I've heard about your websites before, and I've read more stuff about you and your story. And it's really, really cool what you're doing. And what I really like is the whole entrepreneur mindset behind it. That you didn't that you figured out a way to basically pay for your for keeping your email list, which I guess at this point transform more into an income, which is interesting. But what's more interesting, that what you've created for yourself is a recurring income. If people pay monthly, this is really, really awesome. And there are a few things that I'm promoting and that I've sold as an affiliate marketer in the past with the recurring income. And let me tell you, there is nothing cooler than making a sale in 2007 and still making commission every single month up to this date, man. That's 8 years. That's 8 years. I'm like making monthly income from the same one sale, which is really awesome. And this is why I think the recurring income things are really, really interesting.
Yeah.
And that's what you're doing with your emailing list. And at the price you're charging at the moment, even if you charge quite a bit more for that, I think it wouldn't make a big difference in losing clients, because that's really not much that you're charging.
No, I mean, I purposefully set it low at $2 a month for a few reasons. The initial reason why I even started charging is I just didn't want it to cost me money to be able to run this cheap flights email list. And I didn't, so I needed 35 people to sign up in order to cover my costs. And frankly, I didn't even know in the first week or two if I would get that. I was hoping I would eventually, but everybody who starts something has those kind of slow moments, especially in the beginning where the doubt sinks in. You say, are people actually willing to pay for this? And so I very purposely set a low price because also part of it was trying to convince people who had been receiving alerts for free to all of a sudden start paying for something, which is a difficult thing to do. I mean, the news is rife with examples of companies trying to go from giving something for free to charging for it, and people being outraged about it. And so I felt like it was a sphere where I had to tread very lightly. So I purposely set the price point pretty low. But it's, like I said, it's only been running for 4 months. So a lot of it has been trial and error. I wanted to do the recurring thing so I could set a low price point, rather than saying, pay me $25 for the year. I could just say like $2 a month. I figured people would think about it differently than they would if it were a lump sum, and I could give myself an opportunity to prove to people that it was worth it. That was my thinking, and I think that thinking is still valid. But you also learn things along the way. So one of the things that I have learned is when you charge $2 a month, the credit card fees end up eating into that a lot more than they would if you charged a larger amount less frequently. This is the reason why when you go to a coffee shop, they say $5 credit card minimum or something like that, because the typical fee that you get charged for credit card processing is 2.9% plus 30 cents. So that 30 cents is a lot larger share when it's a $2 charge each month than if it were, that 30 cents out of $24 for a year. Mm-hmm. And so that's one of the things I've realized. And actually, I'm in the process of slowly trying to transition away from monthly subscription plans and towards longer plans. So in the new year, I'm going to be rolling out plans that have quarterly options, semi-annual, and then annual, with differing price points.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I guess if you do offer, let's say you keep it at $2 per month if somebody subscribes for a year, versus charging like, let's say $4 every month, which would be double in the end of the year. I'm sure a lot of people would prefer to opt in for a whole year, because first of all, it is cheaper for them.
Yeah, no, and this reform was in a lot of ways driven by readers and subscribers who had emailed me and being like, hey, I'd like to be able to sign up for the year rather than doing it for just month to month. For some people, like, it's just annoying to have to keep track of the charge. For some people, they want to just be able to prepay everything. They don't know if they're going to be switching credit cards on down the line. So this is one of those things that I kind of learned in trial and error to offer that this is a thing that people want, and I think I should offer to them and will be moving forward.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I really like the fact that you've decided to turn it into a freemium as well, meaning that people still can get that on the email list completely free. They'll just get less information than people that sign up for premium, but they are getting basically, the same information, right? I found this very interesting for a lot of businesses which do something similar, is because when you provide the kind of value that you provide, right, for free, people will be like, wow, I can't even imagine like what I'm going to get if I'm paying, because for free, I'm getting like really, really good stuff. As you said, you're getting 3 times less offers, right? If you're free versus premium.
Right. Yeah. And I do it for a few reasons. Like, you're right. I think it adds that layer of mystery where people are wondering, what am I missing out on? Nobody wants to be missing out on things. And so I think playing on that is helpful. I also, every once in a while, when I do send a cheap flight alert to the free list, not only do I have obviously links in there to sign up for the for the premium list, but also messages or testimonials or stuff like, sign up for the premium list to get alerted, like, this $500 flight to New Zealand that popped up last week or something like that, just to kind of give people a taste of what they're missing. But the reason why I went with a freemium model for this thing for this list in particular is because, and this goes back to my ebooks and writing days, I didn't want to just get rid of this ready-made subscriber list that I had of people who were interested in traveling, who were interested in cheap flights, who knew who I was, and who willingly signed up for themselves. I didn't want to just kick those out because, for the next time I write an ebook, I want to be able to sell it to them. I want to be able to sell my old books to them, and I want to be able to have this ready-made audience who I can advertise. Hey, sign up for the premium list. I want to be able to reach out to them too, rather than just hoping that people will see it. These people have already opted in, and so just willingly, throwing their accounts and their email lists in the trash seemed like a pretty poor decision to me. Hence, trying to figure out a way that I can keep them on the list, but still provide excess value that people would be willing to pay for over and above what they would get on the free list.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, makes a lot of sense, man.
Well, thanks.
And the question that's been asked on Reddit to you, why haven't you used affiliate marketing? Why aren't you using like affiliate links for people to buy the tickets so you earn a commission per every ticket sold?
So this actually gets back, this is a great question, and it kind of gets back to after, this Business Insider article went viral and my email list ballooned from a couple hundred people to thousands. This went, and I was sitting there trying to decide, how am I going to monetize this list to make up my returns, to cover my costs. And so one of the options that I looked at was I could do what's called affiliate marketing. And the way that affiliate marketing works, is that they just, anytime somebody clicks through to buy a flight that they got through my email, I would get a small cut of that. So here's the reason why I didn't end up doing that. I started this list and enjoyed doing the list because I genuinely believe all the deals that I send out are really good value. So, I just got done right before I hopped on here, sent a email for flights that were round trip from Orlando to Belgium for $362. That's a really good value because usually those flights will cost at least $900. I feel like I can vouch for it. What I would worry about is if I were getting a cut of every time, somebody bought a flight through my email list, that would compromise the integrity of what I was trying to show folks. That I don't want someone to sit there and think, oh, does he actually think this is a good deal? Is this actually a good deal? Or is he just trying to sell me a flight? Now, this may sound like a, fairly trivial concern, but it's not. And especially in the travel blogging, the travel deals sphere, I read a lot of travel bloggers, and one of the main ways that travel blogging tends to be a profitable business and that people try to finance themselves in it is through credit card affiliate links. And how that works is, the credit, they'll have, an American Airlines credit card that will give, that people can sign up for and get frequent flyer miles from. And if somebody signs up for it via a link from a blog, then that blogger will get a cut from the credit card company, somewhere maybe it varies by company, by blogger, et cetera, but let's say $80 that they get from the credit card company for that link. What ends up happening then is people worry, is I feel like it creates a shadow of doubt among readers where they all of a sudden they're looking at this and thinking, does this blogger actually think this is a good deal, or is he just trying to get my an affiliate cut? And I don't want, I think that can be really toxic, that sort of doubt, because it undermines your credibility. It undermines that sort of trust between you and your subscriber, you and your reader. And I wanted to be really cognizant, especially from the get-go, where I'm trying to go from this list making $0 per month to making, to trying to make actual dollars per month. I wanted to make sure that I'm not undercutting my brand and that I'm really demonstrating value to folks. Now, I think reasonable people can disagree on this. I had a lot of folks on Reddit who said, this would be a better model than charging people to be on the list and not doing the affiliate links. Or some people saying, look, you can do both. You can charge people and you can do affiliate links. But, certainly from the outset, and my thinking right now is just affiliate links. It's not the marginal revenue that I would generate, additional revenue that I would generate from doing affiliate links would not be worth the trust that I might lose and sacrifice among some people who wonder, for every time I send out a deal, do I actually believe in it, or am I just trying to get extra money from that? And I don't want to create that doubt. I want people to actually think every time I send it that it's a good deal, just like I say it is.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, I think, in your case, because I've thought of that exactly thing too. I was like, well, can he really? Should he not? Would that bring more money? And I'll tell you a little thing here about my blog. Let's say the Extra Paycheck blog and podcast. I do a lot of affiliate marketing on it, and I only promote like really exclusively just the stuff that I use and I like myself, right? Mm-hmm. So I was promoting before. What was that? HostGator. Mm-hmm. As a website hosting provider, then they would pay me $100 per sale, regardless of how much the sale is. Sometimes people would pay $50 to become a client, and they would still pay me $100 affiliate commission, which is crazy, right? But they assume that if you build a website, you're gonna keep it for several years, and you're gonna make the money back eventually. Right. Anyway, now the problem is that I was really happy with that because commissions were amazing, and what happened is that they screwed up majorly several times for me, and I left them as my website host, and I signed up with another host. Now another host, I've been using them for a year. I totally love them. Amazing support, amazing everything. Sure. And they also have an affiliate program, so naturally I started promoting them. The big difference is that they are paying me, I think, 15% per sale. So sometimes I could make like $10 commission. Sometimes I make $20 commission per sale, which is a lot less than HostGator did. Yeah. But to me, it's, I'm like, well, I can't promote something that pays more just because it does. I don't like it personally, or I'm not using it. And another thing that I did is that I started putting affiliate disclaimer, which is required by the FTC in the US. It's not required in Canada where I am, but I thought, you know what, I'm still going to do it. Right. I want to be more transparent with my readers. And when I put that disclaimer on my pages that if people make a purchase, I might make a commission, I actually saw a spike in sales. People started buying more. But see, the difference is we are in two completely different industries and niches, you and I.
Well, and I think your experience is actually relevant because I think what you touch on is how much the importance of trust, right? That readers, subscribers need to be able to trust that your incentives are with actually providing value rather than just trying to get a cut, however you can do it. One of the rules that I like to live on, like that I think to live by in modern life, is that the essence of modern society is that everyone thinks that everyone else is constantly trying to fuck them. And so if any opportunity that you can take to assure people otherwise and to do so in an actually genuine way, I think is basically advisable. If you didn't include these things, but if you didn't include this affiliate disclosure, but then someone hovers over the link and sees that it has an affiliate marketing extension with that link, they're going to feel like you're trying to play them. You're trying to swindle them. You're not that you don't actually believe this, but that you didn't disclose what your profit incentive here. People have a really finely tuned bullshit meter nowadays. Yeah. And so I think, it sounds like you, not only in creating this affiliate disclosure, but also just in the general blog, have built up your readers' trust over a period of time. And I'm sure, with the experience of switching hosting companies and switching affiliate marketing as a result, have built up people's trust enough that they feel like they can believe what you're saying. And that was something that I'm working to build, because like I said, the email list is still in its infancy. It's still only 4 months old. And I think while it's still very young, still getting going, still getting its sea legs, I want to be able to make sure that I'm like not undercutting it, that I'm doing everything I can to build trust and build value. And then, maybe down the line, it'd be something to look into affiliate marketing, obviously with the necessary disclosures and everything. But I'll tell you something else that's interesting is affiliate marketing values of plane tickets is extremely low. I think even among travel agents, the actual cut that they get is quite low. $10 at most, maybe. Where the real value is, and is in hotels, cruise packages, car rentals, stuff that has much more variable pricing. And so that's why, when you log on to Orbitz, you log on to Expedia, they'll always take you to the hotel part first. Even when you log on to AmericanAirlines.com and you book something, either is somewhere in the middle, they're going to ask, do you want to add on a hotel here? And the reason why is because the cut in affiliate marketing for hotels and car rentals is way, way, way higher than it is for flights and airlines. It's pretty nominal for a host of reasons. That's I think kind of beside that. That's probably not worth getting into right now. But that's another, I think, consideration within my particular niche.
Yeah. And see, going back to affiliate marketing that we were just talking about, I think the big difference is that in my case, my audience, they know what it is. And some of them are doing affiliate marketing themselves. So let's say when I put up the disclaimer, even without the disclaimer, they probably know that I am getting a commission for most of the products that I talk about, not all, because some of them simply don't have an affiliate program. I still promote them because I love them without getting anything back, right?
Right.
So they kind of know what it is, and I feel that a lot of people do buy through my links, feeling that, well, he's honest, he helped me here, he deserves a commission. But in your case, the big difference is that your audience doesn't know what affiliate marketing is. So you can't really put the disclaimer and then have people wonder even more. Like,
should this be something I'm even concerned about?
Yeah, exactly. They're like, he must be doing it for the money.
Right. Well, and the interesting thing, too, to remember is I could be wrong. Like, I could be wrong about all this. Like, I'm very concerned and worried, about building trust and value, but I could be wrong. I might be leaving a lot of money on the table by not doing affiliate marketing. And this is something that, I might be learning over time. That's something that's part of, like I said, the trial and error process of starting something new. But one of, again, when rewinding 4 months, when I'm sitting there trying to decide what's the best way to monetize this, is affiliate marketing, is it putting ads in emails, is it doing a subscription thing? One of the things that I was also cognizant of is that the notion that people tend to value things a lot more if they pay even just a nominal fee for it. That if you get a book, if somebody just hands you a book for free, you're much less likely to be interested in to value it, to think about it, etc., than if you were to pay like $1 for it.
Totally.
And so, the cost of subscribing to the list, like, again, is very low. It's $2 per month, but it's not something that anybody like is gonna think that's gonna like break anybody's bank account. But I do think that people on the premium list end up valuing it a lot more than they would if it were just free. And there are places that'll send you like cheap flight alerts and whatnot. I think I do a much better job than them of sending out alerts. But one of the differences, as well, I think, is that people value it because they have a little bit of skin in the game.
That makes a lot of sense, and I think it applies to not just to your business, but to a lot of businesses, especially online. When you're giving out the free ebook. Chances are people will download it, but they will never even read it. But if they paid for it, they're like, they kind of feel this, they feel obliged to kind of at least start reading it because, well, they paid money for it. It's,
Yeah. Which is why I wanted to go with a high volume, low price point model, because I thought it would create more value for people without making it inaccessible to people that would also be interested in it. I've had people, including in this AMA, tell me, this Reddit thread, tell me that I should be charging a lot more for it. That I should be charging $10 a month, 15, whatever. But that's something that I'm hesitant to do because part of it is that anytime you start a business, you're inherently you're inherently conservative about changing stuff about it, because there's a sort of status quo bias. That if things are working right now, that you don't want to rock the boat too much because maybe you'll mess things up. Now, this might be something, like I said, I'm going to be experimenting with raising prices in the beginning of 2016, and we'll see how it goes. Maybe I'll find out that there is, a lot of value to be made on my end by raising prices. But it's also possible I'll see I'll hit a price point where it just seems like people are not willing to buy in anymore. And I don't know where that is, but I also don't want to. I don't want to mess with it too much and have people start to worry. What's going on? The price was $2 last month and it's $5 this month, and he's saying like $8 next month. Is this for real?
Yeah.
Well, so it's a tough thing, and I don't have like all the solid ready answers for. And part of it is just is slowly and trying to mess around with it a little bit and seeing, kind of measuring cutting once and measuring twice type of thing.
Yeah, totally. And what I really appreciate about companies like yours is when they change their pricing, usually, increasing it. Usually they grandfather the older members at the price, whatever price they're already paying.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like, something that always, how should I put it? Every time it did not happen, when I would sign up for something monthly and then they would increase the price and they would pass it on to me. Every single time this happened, I left that company, because I was like, well, that's not fair. I signed up for this price because, for whatever reason, psychologically, I decided that this is a good price to pay.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're charging me more, I don't really agree. So, it's something that...
Well, I think it's like you said, it's a violation of trust. You bought in at this point, you trusted that it was worth it at that value, and now they're trying to change it on you, and all of a sudden you have to reevaluate, is it worth it to me at this price, rather than it's forcing you to make a new decision when your price changes, rather than if they had kept it at the same price for you, they probably would have ended up making more money because they wouldn't have necessarily lost your business. It's a tough thing, and I'm doing that when I raise the price. I'm grandfathering in people at their old prices, both because I think it's the fair thing to do, but also because it's a good sales technique. That I'll be running a campaign for the next week, telling people, look, get your premium subscription now, because if you wait until January 1st, the prices are going up. If you get it now, it's going to lock it in. It's never going to increase for you, and you'll have a lot more people end up signing up that way. One of the things, I don't have I know, I'm not a businessman. I didn't take business classes in college, and this is something that I've just kind of been learning by doing. But one of the things that really struck true to me is how important it is to find ways to push fence sitters. I've got this free list, which is there are probably about five people on the free list for every one person on the premium list. And there's a good chunk, I'm sure, of people on the free list who are, they're on that list because they're interested in cheap flights to begin with, but they haven't yet been convinced that it's worth paying for. So they're kind of sitting on the fence trying to see whether or not it's worth it. And so I obviously need to find ways to demonstrate to them that it's worth it. One of the ways is that, by sending emails to the free list, trying to show them the good deals that they can get on the premium list. But it's also by creating scarcity. You have this deadline. You say, if you don't buy it by December 31st, then your price is going to go up if you don't get it after that. And having that scarcity does more to push people into making a purchase and making a decision one way or another than anything else I could have done. I could have cut the price in half and it wouldn't have done as much as telling people, you have to buy it by this date or it's going to be gone. People don't, like I said earlier, people have this inherent fear of missing out. And by creating this artificial missing out point, for me, December 31st, if you don't subscribe by then, you are missing out. Then you end up getting a lot of people who have been sitting on the fence otherwise.
Yeah, totally. Well, yeah, but see, I don't really see it as artificial in your case because you are working on your business and you have decided to increase the prices. So it's not really artificial. You are increasing it. What's artificial to me is that those scammy kind of sales pages when they write something like this price is only valid for the next 12 hours, and then 3 days later you refresh the page and it tells you the same thing with a little counter. This is fake and some people do sign up for that. A lot of people do sign up because they're like, oh my god, it's gonna go up in price.
Oh yeah, when they used to have those infomercials on TV that was call with the next 100 callers or call within the next 10 minutes to get this price or something. It's they don't know when this commercial ran. They have no idea. This is full of shit. So
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
I appreciate. I agree with you. I appreciate people who shoot straight about it.
Yeah, and because I told you, I think what you're doing is not. I wouldn't call it artificial, as in. Well, maybe artificial, but it's not fake because you actually are increasing the price. It's not just some tactic to get more people in right away and then see what happens. No, you are as long as you stand by your words, it's fine.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
All right. So I wanted to ask you about your personal travel, since you've been traveling quite a bit and often. Is all these travels usually financed by your freelancing?
No, actually, it's almost all financed by my frequent flyer miles. And this is getting back to the first ebook that I wrote about generating frequent flyer miles and how to use them to get your best value. I've become a frequent flyer mile addict and have basically now been generating hundreds of thousands of miles every year, way more than I can actually use, which is tough because I have this big stash of miles just burning a hole in my pocket. But what's great about it is it's allowed people like myself who aren't going to be having huge incomes, who aren't going to make a ton of money, to be able to travel without breaking the bank doing it. It's actually, it's funny, it's actually cheaper for me to travel than it is to be staying in the U.S. and, paying rent and stuff like that.
Totally.
And so, it's all been financed by frequent flyer miles and hotel points and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's awesome, and I'll have to get you a book to find out more about that.
Yeah, The sad thing, unfortunately, in your case, is that most of the tips, at least in how to fly for free, which is about the frequent flyer miles, is mostly applicable to American listeners. The tips in how to find cheap flights, which is all about just getting the best price for any given flight, those are universally applicable. But the frequent flyers miles thing, it just differs country to country. And so, being an American, I wrote about U.S. stuff, and one of the benefits that we have here, because we have a very loose and wild banking and credit card industry. Credit card companies offer 50, 75, 100,000 miles to sign up for a credit card in a way that's very rare in other countries. And so it's been great for me, people who can handle it responsibly and do it well. But it's unfortunately just not nearly as easy or available to people outside the U.S.
Yeah, I think also the big difference is that, let's say, in Canada and U.S. we have comparable size territories, right? But you're about 320 million. You're over 300 million people in U.S. and we're 30 something million in Canada. So simply flying for us, just basic flying from one city to another, is usually so much more expensive than in the U.S. because we have less planes, we have less demand, we have less people flying. It's normal,
It's true, but it's something that I'm like looking into in terms of Canadian flights. One of the things that I realized from this Reddit thing is that there's a lot of demand among Canadian flyers to get cheap flights. I think because of what you were saying, that it's a lot more difficult to come across in the first place. And so I've sent a couple out to the list. I sent one this morning, actually, that was Vancouver to New Zealand for $776 Canadian dollars. So it's about 576 or 567 US dollars.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's a great deal. So I couldn't really pass it up. And then, I included folks in like Portland and Seattle, say like, hey, just, take the train or take the bus up and take advantage of this, or send them from Toronto to the Azores, the Portuguese islands, for I think it was like $240 round trip US dollars. So it's something that I'm actually looking into and expanding to Canada, but it's tough right now because it's basically a one-man operation, and so I have a lot of other things taking my time too, and so it's this tough balancing act of trying to handle everything at once.
Yeah, I understand that, but I think with time you will, you will grow into other countries because the demand is there. It just, as you mentioned, it is hard as a one-man operation, especially if you're still, playing with so many other things related to your business, not just, deciding on countries, but there's so much that you're doing at this point that it's understandable you don't have time for all of them.
Well, and it's also the type of thing that the more it grows, the more profitable it gets, then the more time I can devote to this and taking away from other things that are generating money in my life. And so, I'd love to expand, and, not only cover more countries, but like hire some folks, stuff like that to help out. But, I want to wait and see, is there still going to be this sort of sustained growth happening that I can count on future revenue to be able to cover the costs of expansion and to be able to cover my time taking away from other, like I said, other areas of life, other work ventures, to be able to devote just to this cheap flights list.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
And all right, Scott. So thanks for sharing all of that. And now I would like to ask you one of the final questions.
Sure.
Is that what would be your most important advice to beginner entrepreneurs? Something that you have learned yourself. It could be a personal trait. It could be a work ethic. Anything really that you think is one of the most important things that every beginner entrepreneur should pay a lot of attention to.
Sure. Here's a good one that comes to mind. Don't be dissuaded if somebody else has already done what you want to do. I think the key more is to looking what there's demand for, rather than looking if anyone has ever provided something to fill that demand. So let me give you an example. With the ebooks that I write about, most, probably like 90% of the information that I have in there is stuff that you could, tips and strategies and techniques that you could find in travel blogs, that you could find in frequent flyer message board. It's not all like, original to me. There's some that is, some of my own like personal innovations that I've included in there. But that didn't dissuade me from saying, like, look, there's still value here, because I have so many friends who would love to be able to, generate more frequent flyer miles, to use them, and who just don't really know how to do it. And the reason why they don't know how to do it isn't because the information isn't out there. It's just because it hasn't been made in an accessible way. And so there's always room, there's always opportunity to do things better. And so that's why I, wrote these books. That's why I started this Cheap Flights email list. It's not because nobody has ever done this type of thing. It's not because there's zero competition for it, but because I think there's untapped demand. I think there are people who are willing to pay money for this who haven't yet. And so trying to reach that audience, reach those customers, can generate a lot of value. And it has so far. I've lucked out in it. A lot of, as long as you feel like there's an untapped demand, that there are people who don't know stuff in this sphere that you feel like you can provide value. And, whether that's writing ebooks about a subject, whether that's providing value via an email list, whatever the case may be, just because someone's done it before doesn't mean that you can't do it better. And that's something that I've lucked out in and found success in providing stuff, even though there was already some competition in the field.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thanks for that advice, and I agree with you 100%. And this is why I'm all for ebooks and courses and stuff like that, because when people tell me sometimes, I'm like, well, you shouldn't buy this course, you could find information online. And I'm like, yes, I could find it for free, but I don't want to spend months and months of my time doing research and trying to compile it into an like easy to follow, process where I could just spend, $3, $5, $10, even $20, $30 on a book that has it all compiled in a pretty little paragraph and, easy to follow. I value my time more.
That's exactly right. Part of the value that you're providing is the information, but part of it is the accessibility, that you're making, that you're compiling it all so other people don't have to go do the legwork and research that you had to do to get this all in one place.
Okay, so Scott, where could people go to find out more about your ebooks and maybe sign up to your How to Fly for Free email?
Yeah, so if they go to flyforfreeguide.com, they'll be able to find the ebooks. They'll be able to find the Cheap Flight mailing list right there. It's FLYFORFREEGUIDE.com.
Awesome stuff. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you so much for being on the show. I appreciate your information and really great info, man.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. It was great chatting with you.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode of Extra Paycheck Podcast. As usual, I will be putting up show notes page at extrapodcast.com/45, where you will be able to find resources, links, and other things mentioned in today's episode. Also, head over to extrapodcast.com/iTunes in order to subscribe to the show, leave a rating and a review, which will help me tremendously. Thank you so much once again, and I'll talk to you next Monday.